I have a political strategist, Dr. Dayo Kayode, as well as leadership and communication strategist, Dr. John. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Happy Monday.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Happy Monday and
Ramadan
Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem for you.
Exactly.
Because of your debts.
All right, let's get into the papers. The Daily Times is where we are starting from this morning. Boko Haram attacks military base in Borno as army confirms attack, loss of 5 soldiers, bans use of Okada in 7 states, and normalcy gradually returning, residents say, in Borno State. From the Daily Times, let's go to Daily Sun and see how bright it is shining. Army amnesty trade tackles over insecurity. Global body alleges brutality, forced conscription by military, Boko Haram. The military bans use of motorcycles in Kano, Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, others. Okay, that's the Daily Sun. Let's move to the Blueprint now. That's where we're going next. Blueprint is saying after 10-day visit to the UK, Buhari returns to Abuja. President has shamed critics and his achievement there for all to see. That's the presidency. He's saying that. Okay. Now the president is back into the country. From there, let's go to the Vanguard. Excuse me. How we survived bandits' attacks. Katsina, Zamfara victims. Bandits killed all men, set our villages ablaze. 15 soldiers killed, 19 wounded in Borno. We lost 5 men, killed scores of terrorists. Military is saying that. Army bans use of motorcycles in Kano, Zamfara, Sokoto, Kebbi, Katsina, Kaduna, Niger. And security stakeholders task government on urgent intervention. Excuse me. All right, from Vanguard, let's go to the Nigerian Tribune. The Tribune is next now, saying that the 9th National Assembly leadership, Lawan Ndume dig in as Goje weighs options. Battle for speakership takes new dimension. Ndume campaigns in Lagos, says nobody will change Senate ballot rule. Okay, the race is still heating up. From the Nigerian Tribune, let's go to the Daily Trust, which is our last paper for this morning. Patients decry high cost, poor services at teaching hospitals across the country. And some hospitals have been cited, but some of the major challenges they say are facing patients. There are obsolete equipment, poor funding and revenue, inadequate bed spaces there, number of doctors far below WHO standards, rising cost of services, lack of steady power supply, bad order from within the hospital, and so on. They cited some of those because some of the reports carried out, some of the patients said that these were some of the challenges. All right, gentlemen, I'd like us to look at the issue of security. Security. Now, government is banning, most of the papers taking this, banning the use of Okada in about 7 states in the north. How is this going to help? Dr. Kayode, let me start with you on this.
You see, the security issue in Nigeria is taking a different dimension now. Over the weeks, I've continued to look at it, how we're going to get over this insecurity issue, because even we that are in the south, we are not also secure, because before you know it, it will dissipate down. But look at the news over the weekend that went out, that Nigerian government is had a particular meeting with the Fulani herdsmen.
With bandits.
Bandits.
Bandits. That was the
No. They use Fulani herdsmen. I call them bandits.
Well,
do you understand?
The use of Fulani herdsmen sometimes doesn't cover, because sometimes some of the bandits may not necessarily be Fulani people.
Anyway, the issue is that they are now planning to give them 100 billion naira, according to their news.
From the news we got, exactly.
Yeah, and Dambazu was there, DG SSS was there, DG NIA was there. I now wonder, why should we be bargaining with such bandits? Bearing in mind that when you give them such a money, it will make them to equip themselves the more. So what is the agenda being followed there? Bearing in mind that the so-called iPod now in quotes never killed anybody. They were just agitating for a particular thing. Are you with me?
Well, but
the issue now is this.
The dynamics are different.
The issue is this. The moment you are giving them more money, these people are having sophisticated weapons than our military men and policemen. But when you now give them more money, what do you expect? That means they will go and buy more equipment, they will pay more salary to them. Then it will also give them even room to even extend their territory.
All right, we wouldn't know what all the information is regarding what agreements were reached from the reports we got, but let's wait to see if giving them money is going to say, okay, go and never come back to Nigeria.
Then we come back. We can't see. Listen to me. We cannot wait. We need to be proactive now.
But let me come to you on this. Let me come to you on this. The point there is that a lot of people have said that the Nigerian security agencies have exhausted all the concepts and ideas they have when it comes to fighting terrorism in Nigeria.
You know, I said it before that traditionalism is the major foundation of our problem in Nigeria. We have this mindset of always wanting to do something the same old way, and we expect a different result. And for you to have, you can't be following a particular terrain, a familiar terrain, and expect a fantastic result. It's not possible. I think majorly, number one, apart from the fact that we were not ready when this thing hit us, or perhaps we were not aware, the second part of it is that we do not have the political will. Nobody will tell me from the past government to now, there's no political will if government has the will to end anything. You see, I am not just talking about ending by setting deadline. We have seen all over the world that fighting terrorism is not a fight of deadline, it's a fight of consistency. But judging from my experience too, with the military and my connect with people, my family members here and there, you discover that the first failure of the Nigerian government is the inability to take care of the military men. And if you do not do this, greed will set in. Morale will be dampened. So it's a complicated issue, and it has to do with actually the will of the government. The first thing any government that faces on the issue of insecurity, I doubt whether the government will be popular to the people in the real sense of it.
All right, but however, the point there is the security challenges lingered on, and the government of the day still won elections. So what are they doing right, Kayode, if I have to ask you this?
On security, the issue is what have even they done right? They have not done anything right other than just, they're not looking at what we call international best practices in fighting this terrorism. We have seen countries fighting terrorism and then defeating it.
But they have said terrorism is not a conventional war.
Yes, I think majorly why people were not totally angry about the government as to voting them out, I think is that when you have a general, for example, it's a subject of hope. And that's why the government has to be very careful. It's a subject of hope. Not that the people just thought that, oh, this man is a retired general. We think he should have the capacity to be able to end this thing. So it's a product of hope. And you know Nigerians are very hopeful. They are hopeful, they go to church even when they have not eaten on Friday. On Sunday, they are shouting hallelujah in church because that's the only thing we are left with.
The Boko Haram attacks military base in Borno as army confirms attack, loss of 5 soldiers, bans use of Okada in 7 states, normalcy gradually returning, residents say. And to the front page of the Daily Sun, Army amnesty trade tackles over insecurity. Global body alleges brutality, forced conscription by military, Boko Haram. Military bans use of motorcycles in Kano, Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, others. On the front page of the Blueprint, after 10-day visit to UK, Buhari returns to Abuja. President has shamed critics. His achievements there for all to see. Presidency. To the Vanguard now, how we survive bandits' attacks. Katsina, Zamfara victims. Bandits killed all men, set our villages ablaze. 15 soldiers killed, 19 wounded in Borno. We lost 5 men, killed scores of terrorists and military. Army bans use of motorcycles in Kano, Zamfara, Sokoto, Kebbi, Katsina, Kaduna, Niger. Security stakeholders task government on urgent intervention. Well, to the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, night, National Assembly, Lawan Ndume dig in as Goje weighs options. Battle for speakership takes new dimension. Ndume campaigns in Lagos says nobody would change Senate ballot rule. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Trust, patients decry high cost, poor services at teaching hospitals. Gentlemen, well, security issues seem to dominate the papers this morning, but this story, which is on the front page of the Daily Trust, is also of concern, I must say. Patients are decrying the high cost and poor services at teaching hospitals. These are hospitals that are meant to serve people, but there are not enough equipment. There are obsolete equipment and the high cost of services that patients have to pay, and also poor funding. I'll start with you, Dr. Wajon. How worrisome is this?
It is extremely worrisome because when you talk about teaching hospitals, these are perhaps the last resort of people. They go on referrals here and there. But again, nothing seems to be, in all honesty, I don't need to paint a picture that is not this morning. Nothing seems to be actually working in the health sector because the basic things that we need in life, let's talk about it. Health, we need education and perhaps shelter. How many of us in Nigeria are actually getting these basic things that we're supposed to have? I'm not even complaining about the fact that people have to pay high. But if you pay for the facility or you pay for the service that you're getting, it's something, but you get there, they force you to pay practically, and they don't get to even do anything. And government seems to be, in all honesty, government seems to be confused about what to do.
Confused?
Confused.
Really?
Let me cite an example. Corruption has eaten deep into every fiber of our system, and there's a general capacity collapse as far as we are concerned as a people. Let me cite an example of the HMO, for example. When the idea came on board, we felt, oh, this is going to solve the problem, at least when you talk about the cost and all that. The health insurance, I don't know what they call it. The last time I used one hospital, I am under one of these
NHIS.
Yes. So I went there. The hospital didn't say anything. They treated me, brought a bill of 41,000. And for the first time in my life, for about 6 years, I'm holding a bill, and I was wondering, why do I have to pay that much? To pay not even that much, because I subscribed in the first place. Why do I have to pay? But they said, no, there's a particular name they call them.
Your health provider.
Your health provider has never come here to pay for any patient. And government is silent.
That arrangement has always had some controversy surrounding it.
So the issue
is
entire
sector is controversial.
Let us even look at that NHIS from the perspective of the things we have been reading in the newspapers. People pocketing those billions that they are supposed to put into NHIS. Go to most of these hospitals. The moment they see that you have NHIS paper for treatment and all that, they don't attend to you. They first of all attend to those who that will pay.
The quality of treatment is always
they give you something like
and then mark you, the government is involved in this. But then let us now look at it the other way around. Anything government is involved in this country, they always pocket the money, and that's the truth. Look at NHIS. Look at NSITF or whatever. Look at the pension com. Look at all those things. They always pocket this money. And not until when people stand up.
But the adverse effect is on the people, on the masses.
I said not until when people stand up to know that
at some point, these people, down tools, those are the medical practitioners complaining. They don't have enough equipment.
It's not even. The issue is they will not even have. They won't fund them. What I'm saying is this: not until when the people understand what their rights are, then we won't get there. Look at this issue now. If people can come out, I think last week there was a news in the paper. Sex workers or so, they were demanding for their right. Then let people also stand up and demand for their right on earth.
And the first way to do that, really, the first way to do that is to begin, the educated ones among us, to begin to monitor the budget process. Because it starts from there. At every year, you go to the National Assembly to defend some fraudulent amount.
These monies are said not to be enough.
Not even
defending
the amount of money that we have. Are we using it the right
judiciously? Judiciously, that is on the one hand. That is on the one hand. But another thing is, it is not even enough.
Not even
when whatever trickles down to them is not even enough.
The thing is that the problem is that we always have this mindset of more money.
More money.
mindset. That's why a lot of people, that's the mindset we have. And I kept telling people that the problem we have in this country is not more money. The problem is more management. We just need to manage the little resources we have. If, for example, in the budget of Nigeria, you have 1 billion naira, for example, and at the end of the day, you can't access everything. I know how the entire thing works. And you have 500 million. How much have you spent from the 500 million you have?
Even though
The
two-
problem we have is
Okay, now
political
a hospital
corruption
says a hospital says it is allocated 8 million, but it spends about 13 million on
but
electricity.
Where did they get the 13
if in
million?
presidency, if in presidency, they can allocate such humongous money for the hospital there, and they cannot even sell ordinary needle.
That's where it starts from.
You don't understand. And they cannot sell. I mean, it was in the news at the earlier years of Buhari's administration.
Well, the wife went to a
understand?
hospital and couldn't find
And couldn't
paracetamol or
find ordinary needle
Panadol.
to
Now, so
use.
if
So
all
what
of
do
this
you
is
expect in
happening,
all this?
how then do we check medical tourism?
You cannot, you see, you cannot, for those people, if I have the means, because I hear a lot of people talk about some of these things. If I have the means to treat myself abroad, if I do have the means, legally, I will treat myself. I can't subject myself to up NEPA now,
But
and they are
not
doing
but
operation.
is
We
it
are
not
praying
ridiculous?
that PSN will retain power. I can't subject myself to that. If I have the means, I will. But again, it is ridiculous for our leaders to continually depend on foreigners for their health services and all that, because that is also sending a wrong signal. That since they don't care, so if we get our own part of the national cake, we will not use it to buy nothing.
Is it not
You'll find out what
ridiculous?
quickly.
Look at Saudi king, the Saudi king of those years, coming.
I didn't confirm that story.
I said coming to UCH for medical
was years
tourism
ago.
in those days. So why can't we go back to that time? What is it that we were doing right there that we are not doing right now?
It's
That's
corruption.
a
Corruption
big
has
question
killed us.
that we'll have to answer.
corruption.
But thank you, gentlemen, for your time on Newspaper Review this morning.